Hello students, in today's lecture we will discuss the various spectroscopic techniques which are used for the characterization of carbene complexes. In this lecture we will discuss these techniques, particularly infrared, C13 NMR and proton NMR spectroscopic techniques, which are very useful in the characterization of Fischer and Schrock carbenes. Before discussing the various spectroscopic techniques for the characterization of these carbenes, first of all, we will discuss about structural and bonding features of Fischer and Schrock carbenes. So in case of Fischer carbenes, we know that here we have ligands. In case of Fischer carbenes, metal which belongs to late transition metals and should have low oxidation state, and the carbon atom which is connected to this metal through double bond is connected to some pi donor substituents, and due to this all this carbon atom has a partial positive charge, means this carbon is electrophilic in nature. So this can be represented in the form LNM. We have negative charge on metal, positive charge on carbon. This is the pi donor substituent X here, which has a lone pair of electrons and can donate its electrons to electrophilic carbon. Or this structure can be represented as LNM, negative carbon, and R here. Here we have now positive charge. So these are the different resonating forms for Fischer carbenes. As far as the Schrock carbenes are concerned, in that case these ligands which are attached to the metal should not be pi acceptor. The metal should have high oxidation state, and the carbon which is forming a double bond with metal should have non-pi donor substituents at this carbene carbon atom. So in this case, this metal is partial positively charged and carbon is partial negative charged. So this is Schrock carbene and this is Fischer carbene. So in case of Fischer carbenes, this is the structure which is represented as A, this is the structure which is represented B, and this is the structure which is represented as C. So these are the resonating structures, and slight information about Schrock and Fischer carbenes: type of bonding, type of substituents, type of ligands attached to the metal, nature of the carbon atom in case of Schrock and Fischer carbenes. So now some important characteristics which are concerned mainly about carbenes. The very first one is the coordinated carbene has trigonal planar geometry and carbon has hybridization sp2. This is the case with both Fischer as well as Schrock carbenes. The metal carbon bond is significantly shorter than metal carbon single bond. In actual, we know that there is a formation of a partial double bond in case of Fischer carbenes, as I told you in the last slide. You can see here. Here, there is a formation of double bond, but this double bond has not a bond order of 2. The bond order resides between 1 and 2, means this bond order has partial double bond character. That's what I am saying in case of these points. So this is the second point. The bond MC means metal carbene bond jo hai is significantly shorter than metal carbon single bond. Why it is shorter? Because of that donation of electrons from filled d orbitals of metal to carbon. But this bond is longer than MC in case of carbonyls. Means in case of Fischer carbenes, this is the bond, this is metal carbon single bond, and this is the metal carbon bond in case of metal carbonyls. Now why it is so? In case of metal carbon single bond, we have bond order 1, okay, but in case of Fischer carbenes, since there is transfer of electrons from filled d orbitals of metal to carbon, there we have formation of a double bond. But we have discussed it in earlier lectures that the electron density from metal is not completely transferred to carbon, means the pi bond is partially formed. Means this bond is no doubt stronger than single bond, but is not actually double bond. It is in between single and double bond. Okay. But in case of metal carbons, we know that metal has filled electron density, and metal can transfer and can share its filled d orbital electrons with anti-bonding orbitals of carbon. So that's what is said here. In case of carbons, metal carbon bond is significantly shorter, means stronger than metal carbon single bond, but is longer than the metal carbon. It means in case of metal carbons, the metal carbon bond is strongest. In carbons, it is stronger, and in metal carbon, it is the weakest as compared to metal carbene and metal carbonyl complexes. So what happens actually, the most acceptable resonance form is the one which involves the formation of or a transfer of electrons from metal d pi to cp orbitals. Means which type of resonance we are talking about? M double bond C X R. This is the structure which is the most acceptable resonance form. Okay. The bond CX, where X is heteroatom, this heteroatom can be oxygen, nitrogen, sulfur, etc., is shorter than the single bond due to this. And what is the type of structure which we have discussed about this one? MC, this was the bond due to resonance, because this heteroatom belongs to a group like Nr2, like OR, which have lone pair of electrons on it and can transfer its electron density to electrophilic carbon atom. So this results in the formation of carbon heteroatom double bond. So that's why we are saying that the bond CX, X stands for heteroatom, is shorter than the actual. Means if we have this bond CnR2, this bond will be weaker, means longer than in case of carbons, because in case of carbons, this carbon is electrophilic in nature, and this heteroatom can transfer its electrons to form carbon heteroatom double bond character. That's why this bond is shorter and stronger than the single bond analog. And why this is happening? Because of the formation of this p pi back bonding. Means p orbitals will share their electrons from this heteroatom with the vacant p orbital of carbon atom of carbene carbon. So this is the case. These were the important characteristics for these carbenes. Now, as far as the spectroscopic characterization is concerned, we will compare the structure of CrCO6, and the stretching frequency nu CO for this complex is 2108 per centimeter. Okay, means this is the structure. We have chromium, and there are 6 CO which are terminal in this case. All the CO substances or ligands are terminal in nature. But if we consider this Fischer carbene, now what is this compound? I am going to draw its structure. We have chromium, we have CO5, this is the CO5, we have double bond carbon, and carbon is attached to methoxy substituent on one side and methyl substituent on second side. In this case, nu CO value is less as compared to the one which we have stated in case of CrCO6. So now why this is happening? Why stretching frequency is lower in case of the Fischer carbene complex? Stretching frequency for nu CO bond. And we know that lower the nu CO, weaker is the bond. Weaker is the bond. It means in case of Fischer carbenes, this CO bond is weaker, means metal carbon bond will be stronger. So now what is happening actually? This is chromium, and this is one CO substance which is I am considering here, and on the other side we have carbon atom, methoxy group, and second is methyl group. This carbon is electrophilic in nature and metal has electron density, and we have said that this carbon has very little tendency to accept these electrons which are present on metal. So in this way, what happens, this metal transfers its electrons very strongly to the carbonyl carbon atom, means this bond becomes stronger. This bond becomes stronger. Obviously this new CO will fall because this CO bond will be becoming weaker. So in case of comparative analysis, the electron density of chromium or metal is transferred to carbon atom of carbonyl through d pi p pi back bonding, which strengthens this bond and weakens the CO bond. Okay. So as compared to pure CO, we have lower stretching frequency of 2108 per centimeter in case of pure carbonyl complex. But in case of carbene complexes, the transfer of this electron density is much more to the carbonyl carbon atom as compared to carbonyls. So due to this, this chromium carbon double bond becomes much stronger, and consequently this carbon oxygen bond becomes very weaker, and which results in the decreased new CO value. So the IR data implies that, in this case, the IR data implies that carbene carbon atom is a weaker pi acceptor. As I told you, mainly electron density from metal is not transferring to carbon atom of carbene, but is now transferring to very strongly to the carbonyl carbon atom. Means this carbene carbon atom is a weaker pi acceptor as compared to carbon atom of carbonyl group. So this is in agreement with the dipole moment also. When we calculate this dipole moment, we will observe that the electron density is basically residing mainly on metal atom than this carbene carbon. So this has partial positive charge, this has partial negative charge. Now the next technique which we can use for spectroscopic analysis of carbenes is C13 NMR. But actually this technique is not a very useful technique for explaining the structures and bonding in case of Fischer and Schrock carbenes. And what is the reason? The C13 NMR signals of coordinated carbene carbon atoms are spread over a large shift range as with the signal of some organic carbonium ions. We know that these are the carbonium ions in which the carbon atom is having the substance which can cause the resonance to a very large extent. This positive charge on carbene carbon atom is delocalized over these three phenyl substances that makes this triphenyl carbocation very stable. And this is the chemical shift for this triphenyl carbocation, and this shift is at 212. But in case of trimethyl carbocation, this shift is higher because the methyl substance have electron repelling effect plus I effect. This increases the electron density on carbon atom and lowers the charge. So in both these cases, in the first case there is delocalization of the charge, and due to that distribution we will not get large shift values, and in this case this positive charge is reduced due to plus I effect of these methyl substance, and that causes again a very large shift or very weak signal in case of C13 NMR spectroscopy. So this is the reason, because there is a very large shift, chemical shift, which is represented delta. Similar to these carbocations, there is a large shift in C13 NMR spectroscopy for Schrock as well as Fischer carbenes. So we will not be able to predict the nucleophilic or electrophilic behavior of the Fischer and Schrock carbenes on the basis of C13 NMR spectra. So this is some disadvantage, and this is the table which is representing actually the C13 chemical shifts for some Fischer and Schrock carbenes. The first two examples are for Schrock carbenes, then the last three examples are for Fischer carbenes. So you can see here we have almost similar values. There is no clear cut indication whether these are Fischer or Schrock carbenes, but at somehow we can predict that, at somehow, not to a complete manner, that with very low chemical shift there is nucleophilic character of the carbon, and they are basically Schrock carbons, and the value is, if high for chemical shift, we have electrophilic type of character for Fischer carbons. But I am again saying this is not a reliable technique to predict the to predict the electrophilic or nucleophilic nature of Fischer and Schrock carbons. The best technique which is used for this type of characterization is proton NMR spectroscopy, means H1 NMR. So in this case, first of all, I will write a few examples. This is CrCO5, well-known compound using again and again carbon. Here we have this methoxy substituent and methyl group at this position. This can be considered as trans isomer, because in case of proton NMR we have to find out the equivalent number of hydrogen atoms. So this equivalency is greatly influenced by the position of the substance, whether these substances are at a cis position to each other or at trans position to each other. The second isomer, which is cis one, can be shown for this as shown here. So this is cis isomer, and what is happening, there is basically carbon oxygen rotation, and this type of rotation is very fast if temperature is high. So that's why you will see that proton NMR spectroscopic analysis is carried out at a very low temperature, even below room temperature, because even at room temperature there is a rotation around a single bond, and that causes the position of methyl substance or other groups that may make it equivalent or non-equivalent, and that causes the signals to diminish. Means at high temperature we will get low number of signals, but at low temperature we will get clear cut indication between the protons present in different environments. Another compound which I will write here is different from this one in terms of the substituents which are attached to the carbene carbon. This is actually dimethylamine attached to the Fischer carbene. Here we have methoxy group which have two types of isomers. First one is a trans and second one is cis form, and these forms are interconvertible into one another. So proton NMR signals provide the definite proof for metal carbon double bond and CX double bond characters in carbons. Metal carbon stands for this bond, and CX double bond stands for the double bond between carbene carbon and heteroatom, which is present in the form of substituent. So in the solid state, the methoxy methyl carbene, means this carbene, the trans and cis form for which we have shown here, is in its trans form, because we know that the compact packing will be favored by the substituents which have some trans conformations. So that's why we are getting here that in solid state methoxy methyl, means this form is more appropriately fitted in crystal lattice in case of solid state. But in solution state at -40°C both cis and trans forms occur, because we get 4 proton NMR signals in this. So what is the conclusion from this part? That in solid state methoxy methyl carbene complexes, they are present in trans conformation, whereas in solution form at -40°C both cis and trans conformations occur. So if temperature is increased, then what happens? The increased temperature causes pairwise coalition of the proton NMR signals, because I told you when temperature is increased, the molecule starts rotating around their carbon oxygen or oxygen carbon, etc., different bonds, carbon carbon single bonds, they starts rotating, and due to those rotations we will get some equivalent types of structures. So increased temperature causes pairwise coalition of the proton NMR signals caused by the rotation around carbon oxygen axis. Means in this case, if temperature is increased, the rate of trans and cis conformation interchange will be increased, and for this reaction activation energy is approximately 52 kilojoule per mole. For the dimethyl amino complex, means the second one, this one, which we have shown here, the rotation barrier is very high because of the presence of these two bulky groups. Rotation is very high, and only three signals for non-equivalent methyl substance. Now, what are the non-equivalents? These are the non-equivalent methyl substance. We observe only three signals for this non-equivalent methyl substance at room temperature. So, in this case, this rotation is restricted, but in this case, methoxymethyl carbenes have free restriction with activation energy of 52 kilojoule per mole. Carbon-oxygen bond can be easily rotated, forming cis and trans conformations, but in case of dimethyl amine complexes, this rotation is restricted due to these two bulky groups. So, in case of Schrock carbenes, we know that the metal carbon double bond in alkylidene Schrock type complexes is particularly rigid, is much more stronger, because in these cases metal is electrophilic in nature and carbon is nucleophilic in nature, and carbon very easily can transfer its electrons to vacant d orbitals of metal, since metal in its higher oxidation state has vacant d orbitals. So, this metal carbon double bond is much more stronger than Fischer carbenes. Okay. So, considering metal carbon double bond character must be present here, means here in this case here metal carbon double bond is character is much more as compared to the Fischer carbenes, and this metal carbon double bond is stronger, metal carbon free rotation is restricted in this case. The non-equivalency of methylene protons in proton NMR spectrum of this MECP stands for methyl cyclopentadienyl, CP stands for cyclopentadienyl. So, this is the case, we have Ta, we have this double bond CH2, here we have 1 methyl, here we have Cp, and here we have Cp star. Cp star is for methyl cyclone. It remains even unchanged at a very high temperature of 100 degree C, means no conformational change through this proton NMR spectroscopy is observed in case of Schrock carbenes even up to a temperature of 100 degree C, because the flexibility is very low in this case. Tantalum is in higher oxidation state, can accept electron density from this nucleophilic carbon atom to form a very rigid metal carbon double bond. Due to this reason, we can't actually use proton NMR spectroscopy to characterize metal carbon double bond in case of Schrock carbenes. So, this was all about for this lecture. Okay, thank you.